Welcome back to the Show. We are two geeks who talk about everything. My name is Aaron, and I'm joined, as always, by my cousin Landon.
Good day.
How are you?
Well, we took a little break for a minute, right? We
We
had
did.
about 2 weeks off. I had to travel a little bit, and now we're back at it. Back at it
What's
again.
wrong
How
with
are
a
you
break
doing?
here and there? Yeah, and I said welcome back, but this may be your first time here. If it is, welcome for the first time. Hope you enjoy the show. If you're here for the 40th time or whatever, that's great too. Keep them coming. We love having new listeners. We love having old listeners. Not to imply that anyone's old out there. I mean, you could be
Some of
99 and
you
we'd still
may be
want you to,
old. If you don't know,
and
we're
that's
willing
fine.
to let you know.
I mean, I'm pretty old, so
I feel
or I
old.
feel old sometimes. There goes my back.
Oh,
All right. This week we are diving into a cult classic
hmm,
that has likely played a large role in the lives of Gen Xers and millennials alike. The Princess Bride.
hmm,
This
hmm.
is exciting for me. I love this movie.
I love
The
it.
Princess Bride,
Love it.
just to give you a little background, premiered on September 25th, 1987, and it may surprise some of our listeners and or viewers to know it was not a success when it initially hit the box office. The movie pulled in only $30.9 million against a budget of $16 million, and it wasn't until the film was released on VHS and then later DVD that it would become the endlessly rewatchable classic that so many of us can quote line for line. It
Oh,
is directed by Rob Reiner and written by William Goldman, based on his book of the same title. The movie stars Carrie Elways, Mandy Patinkin, Andre the Giant, Chris Sarandon, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Fred Savage, Peter Falk, and it introduced the world to the lovely Robin Wright. And we really didn't know it then, but what a stacked cast.
oh my gosh. Totally stacked cast. And one of the best things about the movie is they all play off each other so well. I mean,
Yeah,
it's amazing how they just all fit. There's not one element or character or situation in the entire movie where the cast is not well suited for one another. Amazing.
absolutely. Oh, and I didn't even mention the cameos we got from Billy Crystal and
Oh yeah.
oh shoot, Carol
Carol Kane.
Carol
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 Kane,
Kane, thank you.
also, of course, from Scrooged. Remember, she played the ghost of
That's right.
Christmas
She was the ghost of Christmas
Present.
present.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a painful well,
Do you
not for
know
her, but
Chris Sarandon, the guy who played Humperdinck? I remember him in a movie called, oh, what was that movie called that he was in? It stuck to me for the longest time, where he was
Fright
this
Night.
husband. Huh?
Fright
No,
Night.
no, no, not Fright Night. No, not that one. It was much older, but his wife was like or no, his like this son comes and says that he's their son or something, and comes along, and it was one of those like USA killers. I've got to find what movie this is, but it was such a starkly different role than what you see him in Humperdinck. Did you know him from anything else other than Fright Night?
Child's Play.
Child's Play, the first
Yeah,
one.
he's the police detective that comes and saves the day sort of at the end. Well, not I mean he's after Charles whatever his name is before he becomes Chucky.
Yeah,
Um and I know he's been in tons of
Mike
other things
Mike
too.
Morris. Yeah, yeah. He,
Um
I mean, he's done a whole lot, but is like one of those side actors you'd see in different things. Um, oh, is it this a
the voice
stranger?
of Jack Skellington.
I think it was The Stranger Within. I'm trying to think of that. Yes, it was The Stranger Within with Ricky Schroeder. That was
Uh
such a crazy movie. Um, oh my gosh, that was really a crazy movie back in 1990. But anyway,
he's also the voice of Jack Skellington in Nightmare Before Christmas.
right, right, that's
He's
right.
all over the place. All right. So let's get into this movie. So what are your first memories of seeing The Princess Bride? Do you remember like seeing it for the first time at any particular venue? Like,
It
is that a
was
memory? Like, because I remember my first time seeing it.
well, yeah. I was at Blake's house. Remember Blake and the Wolverines?
Like,
Blake, you know, I
okay.
it was one of my childhood friends, and he had it on VHS, and went over to his house and watched this movie, and it was just, I mean, of course, then kept watching the movie, because I was probably, let's see, it was maybe since I was 6, and I probably didn't see it till I was more like 10 or something like that. And he just had it at his house and we were watching it, and became the most quotable movie. Um, just at any time you could be like, I think that means what you think it means. I mean, just at any time you could say anything. Inconceivable, you know. Oh,
Unbelievable.
where were
Yeah,
you?
the first time I saw it was I was in third grade. It was a reward in our classroom for something. I can't remember what it was, but one of those days where we just got to watch a movie. Thank you, Mrs. Caldwell. If you're out there somewhere, you are still my favorite teacher from elementary school. That will never change. Um,
Right.
yeah, so
So
so that third grade year, Mrs. Caldwell let us watch. I know I so throughout the year, I think there were several movies we got to watch as rewards for, like, doing a good job on something. Maybe like standardized tests or something for, everyone showed up and we were actually there, or I don't know. But one time we got to watch Princess Bride, the other time we got to watch E.T. because it had just come out on VHS too.
she's a pretty cool
So
teacher. I mean, she's like, the heck, I'm not going to grade tests at home. You know what I mean? She just sits there and she's like, you kids are doing a great job. We're going to watch a movie. Grading, grading, grading,
we didn't know that at the time. We thought she was watching it with us. We thought this was a learning experience.
Awesome teacher. Awesome.
She was the best. She really was. Seriously, Miss Caldwell, if you're out there, you were the best teacher I ever had. I almost became a teacher because of her. But then I realized teachers don't get paid anything and they get treated like crap. Okay, so um, what I was gonna say something else, Princess Bride related. Oh, bigger memory than that, than just watching it for the first time in third grade. When I was in college, I was part of a singing group called Variations Choir, if you will, and we would go on choir tour once a year. And of course, we got one of those nice fancy buses where you're able to actually watch movies because they got little TVs hanging down from the ceiling, and so we brought a bunch of movies with us, and The Princess Bride was one of them. And of course, we watched it on the bus, and we were all like enthralled. Like, it didn't matter how many times any of us had seen it, we were all like silent watching this movie. And of course,
Well,
like, we weren't
surely not
silent the whole
silent.
time.
I was going to say.
I mean, we were watching it reverently,
Yeah.
and of
Yeah.
course we quote it, and then the whole trip, like, this was the beginning of our week on choir tour, and then the rest of the week was spent just quoting the movie, and we dared Chris Shepard, who was our director, at the like on our in our last concert. We kind of dared him to throw in the line "inconceivable" at some point, during the concert, and he did it. He was introducing one of our songs that we were about to do, and he's talking to the people out in the sanctuary of this church we're performing in, and and somehow he worked in, it would be absolutely inconceivable to whatever he was talking about the song.
Yeah.
And like, we're up in the choir loft, like dying, not like, trying so hard not to laugh, trying to be professional because everyone's staring at us. It's dark out there. All the lights are on us. And it's just like we're
Oh my
just like
gosh.
trying to keep in that laughter. It was so great. He turned around, he had this huge smile on his face, like, because he knew
He knew
he
he
knew
got
he
you.
had gotten us.
Oh, that's good.
And oh man, it was
Oh,
so great.
so good. And for me at the time, of course, growing up, Carrie Elwes, later, of course, there's like Men in Tights and things like that. But seeing him in this and then The Crush, I mean, that was pretty much it, for me. I had no knowledge of who he was in my childhood other than the Man in Black. He's Wesley. That's who he is. So from a kid standpoint, he was the swashbuckler pirate, of who you want to be when you grow up. I want to be a swashbuckler. I want to be Wesley, you know. Um, so funny. And then Mandy Patinkin, interestingly enough, I had trouble recognizing him in his later roles in life. I'm like, that's not the same. No way,
Yeah,
because
he looks so different.
and he is so different. Every
Yeah,
character he plays is so not, an ego. So,
yeah,
oh my gosh.
yeah. That was a very unique role for him, and like he owns it. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
I could not picture anybody else playing Inigo at this point.
He
And
said,
I don't even I can't remember how many, like if there were other people who were approached to play that role, if
oh,
there were other people who tried out for it, but I know like he embodies
he
Inigo
did.
Montoya.
He said though that later that his father had passed away, I think at the age of 53 or something like that. And so he really got invested in just the idea of following and trying to avenge his father and that kind of thing. Um,
Yeah,
so pretty impressive role. Andre
I've
the Giant.
seen
Oh, go ahead.
I've seen him like talk about that line where he so spoiler alert, when he's facing the six-fingered man, and the line is, I want my father back, you son of a bitch.
Yeah,
And he says it with so much passion, and it's not the character. You can tell his accent is gone. It is Mandy
yeah,
Patinkin saying that. And he says he looks back at that and he said, that was me saying that to the cancer that took my father.
yeah.
And I remember watching, I don't know if it was an interview that he gave or if it was like a video on YouTube, because he's on social media, and I remember seeing that and seeing him like the emotion as he's telling this story. I started crying. I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
man, I get it. I mean, mm, if you can fight, like put something in, like, and embody the thing that killed your father, and have a chance to fight that and take revenge. How powerful is that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, he definitely poured his heart into it. Um, and then, I was going to mention about Andre the Giant um, as Fezzik. I saw that it was that Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was unknown at the time, was a consideration for the role. Did you know that?
Yeah, when they first started when they first started talking about, because this movie remained in limbo for a long time, like throughout the early 80s.
I heard.
Like the fact that it came out in 86 was a small miracle, but like throughout the early 80s, when they were first talking about it and trying to find, a director and a producer and a studio that would back it up, they were talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Fezzik. They wanted this giant man to play him. And so and he was just, at that point, starting to become like the big star that he would be. Um, and so, it would have made sense to have him in that role.
I just think had Arnold Schwarzenegger been in the role, it just would have been a completely different movie. I
Yeah,
mean, I just don't, what he probably would have had a very different career. You know what I mean? With something like that under his belt versus, say, Conan, and then Terminator, and things like that. So, but
you think
you
about
know,
you think about the things that he had going on around that same time, 1986, 1987, when the movie actually premiered. Predator came out in 87, I'm pretty sure.
yeah,
So I mean, if he had done Princess Bride, there's a good chance he wouldn't have been in Predator.
no. And if he hadn't been in
Um,
Predator, I can't imagine that he would have been, because Commando that proceeded after
that was
Predator.
after
Yeah,
Predator, I think.
and Terminator. I mean, so it's like I just Terminator was after too, right?
No, the first Terminator was 1984.
Oh, so he'd already had that under his belt.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he'd already done Terminator, a couple of Conan movies. Um,
I still think it wouldn't
what
have.
else was before all that?
I still think it. his career would have gone in a different direction had he had this one. Not and
Sure.
and mainly just because, I mean, Fezzik's role in this is just lovable, kind of not deep. He's not known for his brains. He's known for his brawn,
Right.
and
But he's also known for his heart
his
too.
heart. Yeah,
And
yeah, for sure.
he's technically one of the bad guys when you starting out, but quickly comes along and he's one of the good guys. He's even when he's one of the bad guys, he's you know verbalizing his problems with what's going on in this situation. They're
Right,
kidnapping this girl and they're gonna kill her, and
right,
he's not cool with that.
right, right. He's not. Yeah, yeah. I thought it was pretty good. Did you ever read the book?
Yes.
I did too.
Yeah, I did. This was
Wow.
this was one of those instances of reading the book long after I'd seen the movie
Right.
and just not liking the book as much because I
I
got the
didn't
movie in my
either.
head.
Right.
And
But
I
but
like
you
I
know the
read through the book and I'm
screenplay.
like, what's all this extra crap in here with like the stuff in the italics, and I
Yeah,
don't want to read this
yeah.
junk. Can we just I just want to watch the movie.
I think Gold. Yeah, I think he did a much better job on his screenplay than he
Yeah.
did with the book. But
Yeah.
which is not typically the case. You know what I mean? I mean, usually a book is better, but still. And then Wallace Shawn.
I do wish I had been able to read the book before I saw the movie. Of course, I'm 6 years old or 7 years old when the movie comes out. So
Would it have
I
been
don't know why I keep thinking it came out
inconceivable?
in '86,
Would it have been
but like
inconceivable for you to be able to read the book at 6?
absolutely, because like this book, it's it's a decent sized book,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's not like a kid's book with kids language in it. Like this is. I mean, I'm not saying it's got foul language in it, but it is an adult book, and so
Yeah.
as good as it is, see, and that's the thing. You hear about some of the stories behind the movie where people were like so impressed with wanting to be a part of this project because they had read the book at some point in their lives, and they had
Right.
read The Princess Bride, and they're like, oh, they're making a movie of this. I want to be a part of it. It was
Yeah.
such a good book.
Had we read the book first before there was even a movie, then we might have appreciated it differently, right?
Right. Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, and there's other definitely notable actors in it, like Wallace Shawn. Such these unique roles that you just can't imagine anybody else doing. And it just follows you around, that voice, that type that Wallace Shawn has. Um, with not just his inconceivable line, but his logic. You know what I mean? Just the part about them having a battle of wits. That whole part back and forth is hilarious. You know?
I love how he says, "Let me put it to you this way: You ever heard of Aristotle, Socrates, Plato? Morons.
Really? Yeah.
Smart.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and Robin Wright, it's almost like I think about Jennifer Connelly in Labyrinth, right? And it's kind of the same thing, just who is this, And then she goes on to become just this world-renowned star, over time. And of course, when we see her as Jenny in Forrest Gump, or when we see her later in House of Cards, even, you know, it's just such a different person, than you see initially. But there's a few actresses like that when you see their semi breakout role, and it sticks with you. I think about
Yeah.
Natalie Portman playing in Leon the Professional, and it's just like it sticks with you. You know how some of these actresses or even actors can do that, and she sure did do a good job in this, but not because of necessarily her acting. In my opinion, it's not that she was just like moved me like Natalie Portman did in Leon the Professional. It was because of the surrounding cast and the circumstances and the fullness of it. That's what makes her notable to me. Not that she just gave me this epic moment at some point. You know what I mean?
No, and she doesn't. I mean, she really doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue in the
No.
movie, to be honest. Like she, I mean, as far as the rest of the cast goes, yes, she's got plenty to say, and when she does, like she does a fantastic job delivering those lines. But part of it too is just her portraying that character of Buttercup, and what Buttercup is supposed to, um, I guess, be in this work of literature, in this movie. She's just this beautiful girl that, how do you not fall in love with her, you
Yeah.
know? And I wonder about that with the casting, and with the chemistry that she and Carrie always had together.
Right.
Was, you know early on in their careers, was there any kind of, like, romantic spark between them, you know off camera, on set? uh can't help but ask that question. Did someone have a crush on someone? It's just because, I mean, seriously, look at her. She's gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
No, for
and
sure. I
just the
mean,
way she carries herself is just like, how do you not fall for that?
well, and she played well into the funny elements. It's like when
Oh
her
yeah.
and Chris Sarandon are having dialogue, and she's like, or actually when she's walking down the hallway and she's, oh, I'm having some feedback. Sorry. When she's walking down the hallway and she's telling the father, the old man, the
King.
king and queen, yeah, she's they're walking together, and she's like, I'm probably gonna have to kill myself, and he's like, oh, that's
Would
nice.
that be nice?
Won't that be nice? She kissed me. I mean, what'd you say?
Oh, well, what's that for? You've always been very kind to me, and, well, when we get back to the wedding suite, I'm going to kill myself. Dry line, just a matter of fact. Just, it's 6 o'clock on a Tuesday. This is what we
Oh,
do.
it's what we do. Of course, we all remember the part where she has the dream, that they were married,
Gosh.
you know. Boo! Boo! Oh my gosh. Everybody remembers that part.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a horrible nightmare to have. But man, that's like this moment in the movie that you don't forget. There's just no way, because, I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, how ugly was that woman? I mean, really.
There was some
No
makeup.
offense to the actress playing her. I'm sure she's a lovely woman, and they just did many, many great things with practical makeup.
Absolutely. Yeah, but so just memorable. One of the things that I love about the movie is that I mean, there's funny elements. And it's even the way Peter Falk describes it, his character, the grandfather to Fred Savage, the beginning, there's fighting, there's a whole bunch of things going on in it, and it entices you. There's romance, and I mean, it's got
All of the
all of these
adjectives he
elements.
uses to describe the movie, he's absolutely right. It's all, I mean, well, to describe the book, but it's all in there. Everything. I mean, it's got humor, it's got drama, it's got high stakes, it's got true love,
Magic, you got all of that stuff.
miracles.
Miracles, Miracle Max.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, so great. I love
on the Brute
that.
Squad. You are the Brute Squad.
I love the you know most of the movie, yes, is the story itself, and when we're seeing the this amazing cast playing these characters in this fantasy world. But I feel like so many times we discount what's going on to frame the story. Is you've got this grandpa visiting his sick grandson, and reading the story to him that his father supposedly read to him, uh and he read to his dad, and so, like, it's just generational thing that he's passing on. And it's a really, like, thinking about it that way, thinking about it from the perspective of this grandfather and his grandson really didn't want his grandfather to be there. But throughout the movie, we see they have this love for each other, this respect for each other. It's really sweet. It's
It's
a
really
sweet
sweet. Yeah.
relationship that they have there. And, and the way that Fred Savage is like, "Are you really sick?" Because, I mean, come on, the way you're reacting to some of this stuff, you sound completely, you're fine, aren't you? And I love it when he gets to the point in the story where it's like, It's with the dream, and he says that they got married. It just, uh, or no, it's the part where he asks, "Who kills Humperdinck?"
Yeah,
Because we think that Wesley's dead,
yeah,
and so
yeah.
he's like, "Who kills Humperdinck? Nobody. He lives." What are you
What
reading
kind
the
of
story
story
for,
is
Grandpa?
this? I thought that was good. You know what I think? I think that this was, you know how Ferris Bueller had his day off? I think Fred Savage tried to have a day off too, but his grandfather came and read a book to him. So, so he really wasn't sick. He had a plan to
Well,
kind of go and have fun, but that didn't work out?
that apparently he's got a stay-at-home mom too, so
Yeah.
that's gonna put a damper on your plan. So you just gotta sit in the room and play video game baseball.
To be honest, though, if Peter Falk read me a book, I would probably just sit there riveted. I could listen to Peter Falk. In that Columbo voice, is like, and here we are, Princess Buttercup, Is
Where
there a
were
little
we?
basket around here? I see a small gray basket. I mean, just his Columbo-esque-ness, hilarious. Oh my gosh. Let's see. What else? One of the things that sticks out to me is the part with because we go from humor to seriousness. Of course, you have this amazing swashbuckling scene between Wesley and Ego, and just it's an incredible fight scene, by the way. But you also have this part where Wesley gets tortured, and it's kind of you're kind of in a lighthearted mood, and then you get to this torture, this water torture part, and it's like, oh, that's real. That's now we're talking real pain here. And I mean, the movie does that to you through multiple moments. You have even in the fire swamp, you have lightheartedness, they're moving around, and then all of a sudden you have a real attack on you. So anyway, that stuff, I think the movie does an incredible job of bouncing you back and forth so that you're not just kind of getting bored.
All the highs and lows. By the way, for you to call the fight between Wesley and Inigo a great fight scene is an understatement.
Okay, thank you. I was gonna say, you know,
That that
epic,
is the greatest sword fight ever put to film, in my opinion.
so
And I
good.
think a lot of people would agree with me. And if you haven't, if you have somehow missed this sword fight, missed this movie, and missed this sword fight, you have got to go on YouTube, go on Disney Plus. It's there. Watch it just for
Oh
the
yeah.
sword fight. It's like maybe 20 minutes in, and it is the seriously the most amazingly choreographed sword fight that you will ever see on film.
The one
I
thing
don't
that I
care how many
really,
Star Wars movies there are.
yeah.
I don't care how many swashbuckling movies with Errol Flynn there were back in the 30s. This tops them all.
Well, do you know how in some movies, like the choreography is very much like a dance, and I can appreciate that, but you can almost feel like it's timed, and all that stuff. And I felt that way, although I love the lightsaber duels in Star Wars, with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Um, it still has always felt um choreographed. Like, it's all choreographed, don't get me wrong, you could just feel it. This was something where it really did look like a really epic battle. I just thought it was seamless. I thought especially the part where he's using the one hand, and then I'm not right-handed, and then he moves over to the other one, and then he's going, oh my gosh, what kind of actor can do that? It's just
Yeah. And
incredible.
they both do it. They
They
both do
both
it.
do it.
It's just it's so incredible to think about all the work that they put into that fight, and all of the, I mean, how much time it must have taken to get all of those moves correctly and to be able to fight with both hands, because they both start with their left, and both reveal, I'm not left-handed.
Have you
And
ever, let me pause you there. Have you ever even tried to eat with a fork with your left hand? I mean,
no, because I've missed my mouth.
this is what I'm saying. Like, if I can't even use my left hand to like put food in my mouth, let alone the ability to take a sword and learn and choreograph in a fancy way that doesn't look like, this whole thing.
This is definitely acting. We are definitely not sword fighting.
um But my gosh, it's so incredible how they do that. And obviously, there had to have been stunt double parts in it, the parts where you have the acrobatics and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure from what I read, all of the sword fighting was theirs.
No, yeah, with the sword fights, they did every bit of it. Um, because they wanted it to be authentic. And so, Carrie Elways and Mandy Patinkin, they were both 100% committed to making it look good. And it worked.
Incredible.
I mean, they killed it.
Yeah, just incredible. Um, so let's see. As far as like the movie, is there any parts of the movie that you don't enjoy or that you didn't like? No, no,
What a ridiculous question.
no. I do have one. I have
Oh,
one.
really?
I do. It's the end because I didn't want it to be over. I've always watched it, and
Freaking
at the
close, man.
end, they tie it off. Like it's just they go jump off and go on the horses and ride in the sunset. And I'm like, I want more. I want more. It's a little anticlimactic ending. I needed more longer.
There's that
Flowers.
the caveat there at the end where Fred Savage, looks at his grandpa and says, "Can you come back and read it again tomorrow?" And he turns back and winks at him, says, "As you wish."
As you
So that means
wish.
all you got to do is just rewind the movie and watch it over again.
Which we do. I mean, obviously we've done it so many times. I can't even count the amount of times that I've watched this movie. But I mean, it's great. The music was good too. I always liked the music in it. I this is one of those that I think you probably would agree with me on this one. I really hope nobody tries to remake it. Just really like for it to just stay immortalized in what it is.
Oh, I've thought about that several times over the years because there have been a couple of every now and then the question will come up and it'll hit the internet. Should they remake The Princess Bride? Or the rumor will come out that, there's a possible remake of this or that happening. What movie is untouchable? And inevitably people will say The Princess Bride. That falls in line with like Back to the Future, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, movies that are just untouchable, right?
Yeah. So check this out. It looks like it is in the works. Sophie Turner.
What?
Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones, Joe Jonas as Wesley, Tiffany Haddish. Oh, it's a fan movie. A homemade Princess Bride movie has Rob Reiner
Oh,
as the
yeah, they did that. They did that during COVID.
during COVID. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, a whole bunch of like I mean, we're talking dozens of actors came
November
together and did little
25th
snippets of it.
of November 25th, 2021, Carrie Elwes said that he's against a reboot. Do it. I don't mind things when they have like it's just like the Willow having a show. And I like Willow, both the original and I loved the show. I very much enjoyed the one on Disney Plus. Um and some people didn't, but I really did. I'm okay taking and having a sequel when it's done right. But that kind of
And
takes and says there's 30, you're 30 years later, and things are different, and I mean I'm okay with stuff like that as long as it has comedic elements.
well, in the more recent editions of the published Princess Bride, well, the ones prior to William Goldman's passing, um, he had added or teased a sequel
Oh,
in
really?
the epilogue called Buttercup's Baby.
Oh, it'd be
Um,
grandbaby now.
what's that?
It'd be grandbaby now.
Yeah, right. But that's never going to happen. He never intended to actually write a sequel. And even I think if he was still alive, I don't think he would ever intend to have that move forward as a sequel, as a thing that we could expect to see happen. But like I said, I think that's The Princess Bride as it is one of those timeless classics that really should remain untouched. here all these years, decades later. Um, Now there's a couple of things we haven't really mentioned. I mean, we kind of offhand mentioned Billy Crystal and Carol Kane. They kind of stole the show with Miracle Max
Sure.
and
Which
and
is such a
Valor.
side role, you know what I mean? It's just like this little moment, but because it's him and them together, it becomes it becomes the Billy Crystal, show, variety show here. I mean, it's I'm not a witch,
He,
I'm
of
your wife.
course, of course, the whole thing between the two of them is all like just banter that is made up on the spot. Like none of that is scripted.
Oh, I'll bet
And
not.
I think I remember like Mandy Patinkin and again in another interview saying that he had the hardest time uh stopping himself from laughing when like oh gosh, is it this where he said that he actually broke a rib trying not to laugh uh during the scenes with Billy Crystal because he was just so funny over and over again. And of course, every scene was different. You're ad libbing every line you've got, and so he's coming up with all this different stuff. I wonder how much footage wound up on the cutting room floor
Oh,
that
would it
they
be
just
cool
could.
to see that? Wouldn't it be awesome?
Oh my
Oh my
gosh!
gosh. Well, it's just like, it's like watching Liar Liar with Jim Carrey and you see all the cuts at the end of all the stuff that he was, ad-libbing and doing and just joking.
Something
So these
could have shown
actors,
up.
I mean, and I mean, they just have this ability to ad-lib and do all that. But I would imagine as an actor, now there's obviously some parts when he's like to blave, which means to bluff, So you probably owed him money. And then she comes in, liar. And you get this whole story about him like being a disgruntled employee, just that got the shaft from Humperdinck, you know. Man, so funny. And I thought it was really funny too, just how Wesley was with getting his strength back and then his arms being loose and him and
You
him
moved
saying,
your finger. Aren't you excited? You think a little finger wiggle is gonna make me happy? I've always been a fast healer.
oh my gosh. And the Dread Pirate Roberts story, I thought that was fun. I did enjoy the Dread Pirate Roberts story in the book. I thought that was pretty well fleshed out. That was pretty good. But you
Yeah.
can't, there's only so much you can do, right? So
How about the impressive clergyman?
how many times
Marriage.
Howard?
Marriage is what brings us together today. Like, you're not expecting that. I mean, here's
True.
this guy who's
I'll
standing up there, and you're
follow
you're just
you.
expecting this serious wedding ceremony to happen between this prince and princess, and then this guy opens his mouth, and it's like, what?
And he's got that
And
look,
it's
that
like the
very
funniest thing in the
serious
whole
look.
movie.
He's like got this serious look and he's like, marriage, just hilarious. Oh my, say man and wife, man. And then at the end, he's just like, man and wife.
You doing?
Oh my gosh. That's so good. Let's see, other notable parts. I guess you have that part. This is kind of going back to the beginning where you hear that sound. That's the sound of the screeching eel.
Shrieking eels.
Shrieking eels, yeah. And then you have these moments where it just goes back to Fred Savage. I love that part. You look like you were getting pretty upset. you know.
Set. I was concerned.
Oh my gosh.
To get eaten by the eels at this time.
What?
Well, you look upset. I'm not upset. I'm concerned.
I kept expecting every time I watch it, I expect Fred Savage's voice from the Wonder Years, the adult voice, to come in and be like, I was a little concerned about my grandfather's reading because he was so very, just having that voice into it. So funny.
Only I'd known that this was the last time I'd get to see my grandpa.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Uh,
so good.
um, yeah. So, any other big moments before we move into our trivia
Yeah.
portion for The Princess Bride? It's such a great movie. Seriously, you guys listening or watching at home or in your car, wherever you are, uh, if you have not seen this movie, what are you doing with your life? This
Well, for
is
real. I would say that probably, although Humperdinck's character and he's like the big bad guy or whatever the case is, I thought that the Six Fingered Man was really, that was the big bad guy for me, and that whole thing with, Inigo Montoya, you kill my father, prepare to die, and that scene, repeating it over and over again. He gets so hurt, and he gets so hurt, and he's standing there about to die, and the Six Finger Man does his sword, and he does his sword and it goes here, right?
yeah,
And he doesn't even flinch, and he does it again, and he goes here, and then he gets this strength from within. You know what I mean? And he just goes after him. And man, that was such a powerful scene.
yeah.
I don't know that I've seen as rivaled when it comes to that sort of stuff. Even the Star Wars ones, I don't think I've seen anything that rivals what that scene does.
I think when it comes to the Six Fingered Man, I think that he as far as this story goes, he is truly evil.
Yeah, he's
Whereas
evil.
the prince is just a buffoon.
He's
You know, he's
spoiled buffoon.
yeah. I mean, he's got these plans to go to war with Gilder and or is it Florin? They're in Florin. They want to go to war with Gilder. Yeah. Uh, he's got all these grand plans. He's a megalomaniac for sure,
Yeah,
but he's an idiot. He
but
has no real power.
yeah, but then that's the big difference between the book and the movie. Is the book, he describes him as being like a tactical genius. I mean,
Well, and
he
they
is
try to
absolutely a tactical genius in the book, but this, and it appropriately so, with the way the flow of the movie, he couldn't have been a tactical genius, you know. So
yeah. See, and I think that's something that they I don't know if they intentionally made that change for the movie or if it was just you know for lack of time and lack of being able to flesh out who Humperdinck was in the movie.
right,
But I mean, we get that sense that he's just a buffoon who has no real strengths other than the fact that clearly he's a good hunter. He's a good tracker.
right,
And that's something we pick up from him chasing after um
right.
when
Wesley and
once Buttercup has been abducted, at the beginning, he and his groupies or lackeys or whatever, they're chasing after, trying to find her. And
I bet my life on it.
yeah,
You know, he, he's just
I mean,
he's so
he makes all
confident.
these statements like he is, I don't know, so confident, but is it real confidence or is it
I'm
just
right,
like
and I'm always right.
yeah, like yeah, is it real, is it true confidence or is it like the confidence of an idiot who doesn't know any better than to
Right,
assume I'm right all the time because
right.
people have been handing me everything on a silver platter my whole life.
I think it was purposefully done because you think about the line where he goes, I've got a wedding to plan, a country rule, a wife to murder. I mean, he says things like that, that are just, it's very intentional to be like, I don't know, funny, and so I do think they brought that down a little bit. And it's good that they did. I think it would not have, you couldn't have him back down from Wesley when Wesley stands up and says, "Drop your sword." And he sits down. If he had been what he was described as in the book, he wouldn't have sat down. He would have,
Mm.
known, that it was all a ruse. I knew he was
Yeah.
bluffing. I knew he was bluffing. You know?
Yeah. And that scene itself too is brilliant
Oh
as
my gosh.
well. Just
So good.
because you think that Wesley he's done for, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he has no strength. and he's just lying on that bed, and he's literally not moving as he's speaking to Humperdinck,
Right.
and he gathers just enough strength to be able to lift his sword and point it at Humperdinck,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Humperdinck is scared enough and cowardly enough to do exactly what he's told, and even
Yeah.
though obviously Wesley is bluffing, so,
I knew
so
you're
great.
bluffing. Oh my gosh. All right, so let's
One
hear
of
your
those little
trivia.
things
Oh,
too.
go ahead.
Sorry, off not to get off topic, but like one of the there's so many little things in the movie that if you're paying attention, you'll catch it. But like one of them is at that scene when the camera cuts away and we see Inigo catching up to him there in the wedding suite. And so Inigo's out in the hallway and we still hear them inside the bedroom, and Wesley tells her, "Make the ropes as tight as you want." And you hear Humphrey go, "Oh."
Yeah. 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 Oh man, such a good one. All right, let's hear your trivia.
All right. Trivia time. Our trivia portion of the show is brought to you by no
Holidays.
one because we don't have any sponsors.
I did pretty
But if
good
you'd
on
like to
trivia
sponsor the
last time.
show, do what?
I did pretty good on trivia last time.
You did.
Bring it on.
5 questions, no holds barred.
This isn't like a Squid Game thing, right?
Correct. In 2014, Carrie Elways published a memoir that takes a detailed behind the scenes look at the making of The Princess Bride. What's the title of that book?
Wow. A
It's
shot in the
actually a
dark.
really good book. It's a really good book. I read it a few years ago. It's really
As You
fascinating.
Wish.
That's exactly what it's called.
Boom.
Yep.
That was a shot in the dark. I'm not going to take credit like I knew it. Shot in the dark.
Yeah, that was an incredible. That was a very good guess, and yes, it is called "As You Wish" because that, of course, is his signature line from the
Signature
movie. That
line.
is,
There you go.
he's whenever he says "As you wish," what he really means is "I love you." All right, number two. Who did William Goldman originally envision playing Fezzik when he wrote the novel?
I don't think he envisioned Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think that was just I
It was just a
think.
casting choice early on.
What'd you say?
It was just a casting choice early on.
Who did he envision? Lou Ferrigno.
Nope. He always had Andre the Giant in his mind
Oh,
as
really?
yep. When he was writing Fezzik as a character in the novel, he was picturing Andre the Giant the entire time. And so, when they were finally able to convince Andre the Giant to audition and take the part, which he was hesitant to do. He didn't want to because at this point in his career, he was in so much pain from all those years of wrestling. His back, he was it was hard for him to do much of anything for any extended period of time. And even like that last scene at the end of the movie where Buttercup jumps out of the window and he catches her.
Yeah.
He was being braced by several other people on the crew to make
Oh,
sure that
really?
yeah, and she was in a harness so that he didn't have to take on her full weight when she landed in his arms.
Wow. That's awful.
So yeah, it's really sad to know like just how much he had declined in health even at that point. But he, however long he lived after making that movie, he always said that was the best time of his life. Um, being on set with those people because they didn't treat him like
It was a
some
wrestler.
right.
Yeah.
They didn't treat him like some freak of nature. They treated him like an actor
Yeah, that's
who
cool.
was one of them.
No,
And so it
that's
was
really awesome.
really great. Okay, question number 3. Peter Falk and Fred Savage, who bookend the story as the grandpa and the grandson, respectively, both led successful television series that aired in the 1980s. Name one of those series.
Oh, I'll just say name both of them.
Go
So,
ahead.
and wait, let me just make sure you didn't say anything funky in there. Just any of their successful television series?
I said they both led successful television series that aired in the 80s.
Okay, gotcha. Peter Falk, Columbo, Fred Savage, Wonder Years.
That is correct. Number 4, the Six-Fingered Man has a noble title. What is that title?
The Count.
He is a count. Count Rugen.
Count Rugen. I couldn't remember his last name, though.
All right. Number 5. In the end, when threatening Prince Humperdinck, Wesley challenges to fight him not to the death, but to the what?
To the pain.
To the pain. That is correct. All right. Bonus question. What are the 3 hazards of the fire swamp?
Okay, so there's the quicksand, lightning sand.
Lightning sand,
There's
yes.
the there's the fire
Flame spurts.
flame spurts. And then the ROUSSs. Rodents of unusual
The
size?
RUSs, rodents of unusual size.
I don't
I don't think they exist. Fun fact about filming that scene in the fire swamp, when they first discover the flame spurts and her dress catches on fire.
Yeah.
William Goldman was on set that day when they were filming that. And even though he wrote the scene, he wrote the story, and knew it was going to happen, when her dress caught on fire, he shouted, "She's on fire!" And so Rob Reiner's like, cut. We know she's on fire. She's supposed to.
Somebody get the screenwriter out of here. You know, you could just hear Rob Reiner being like, "Would somebody get him out of here?" You know.
Well, that is our look at The Princess Bride. Landon, do you have any other final closing thoughts
No,
before
but
we
if you
sign off?
haven't seen it, you need to watch it. And if you have seen it, but you haven't let your kids see it, you should let your kids see it. There's nothing wrong with this movie that would be inappropriate, and you can let your kids see it. It is formative. It is formative to childhood development. So make your kids see it. Awesome.
Yeah,
if you're a third grade
PG.
teacher,
There's nothing horrible.
Yeah, if you're a third grade teacher, obviously you have all the ammunition you need here to know that you turn out. Look how this guy's turned out. Don't use this guy as an example, but look how there's good. It's good.
So, Miss Caldwell, if you're out there listening, I mean, thank you. If it hadn't been for you showing us The Princess Bride in 3rd grade,
You would
I
have
don't
watched
know
it
where
at my
I'd be.
house. You would have watched it at my house, but still.
Sure, I would have seen it at some point at home. I think it was one of those that we got on VHS somewhere. I don't know if we bought it or if we recorded it off HBO or something.
Oh, so good.
I'm sure we had it somewhere.
So good.
All right, I'm gonna have to go watch it again this evening. Maybe one of those things. I'll let it put me to sleep tonight. I don't know.
As you
wish. As you wish. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, listening, watching. If you are enjoying the show, please tell your friends, tell your family, give us the 5 stars, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that little bell. Whatever you got to do to keep following us and come back week after week. We are coming back again next week with another exciting, or maybe not exciting, but exciting to us.
It was exciting. I'll be
episode of the Show. So have a great whatever it is wherever you are.
Bye-bye.